Hey everybody, welcome to Season 6, Episode 3 of The Hard Truth, Inside the Football Industry podcast with me, Philip Ideson, and Darragh MacAnthony, Chairman and Owner of Peterborough United. I'll say this up front, producer Henry just had, his wife just had a boy, and so he's taking a few days off, so
congrats to H.
Crappy edits or late video is my fault, because I'm on editing duty this week.
Everyone in my life that's important is either injured or on fucking paternity leave or whatever they call it. It's like, well, what on earth? I'm surprised he hasn't done his Achilles.
Yeah, don't tempt fate.
Oh, dearie me.
Don't put him in a posh shirt, because then there's an injury.
Oh my God almighty. My God.
So this is the first one we've recorded since the eve of the season.
Oh, apparently because we lost games, we haven't done it. Please tell people this is your fault, not my fault. Like, I'm always willing to do a podcast.
I've been traveling like crazy. I continue to travel like crazy. Last week I was in the UK, then came over here, then it started school and all that crap. So yeah, it's not that you're hiding anywhere.
And I'm back here about to move a kid to like Alabama to university. So, and then I'm back to England on Monday. So it's just, it is what it is. Regardless if we'd won all 3 games, lost, it doesn't matter. It was just your difficulty pinned down, as am I at the moment. So anyway, so where did we start? Did we start with Bradford's magnificent start, or Peterborough's season already over after 3 games?
Do you want to start with happiness or doom and gloom?
Oh, well, that's I guess that's the question, isn't it? It's like, everyone has their own perception, what's happy, what's whatever else. So I got back 2 weeks ago. I was full of optimism and happiness. And then I lose the best goalie I've signed for 20 years, and I lose my captain. So should we start there?
Yeah. I mean, the 3 games we've had so far for you since the start of the season: Cardiff, Luton, Accrington. You lost 2-1 at Cardiff. You lost 2-0 to Luton, and then last night at Accrington, 2-1. But let's look at Cardiff and Luton. And I mean, I know it sounds like excuses, but you couldn't really have 2 harder games to start the season with, could you?
Yeah, the EFL love me. They let's give you 2 of that. And look, people can call this excuses galore or whatever, and I get all you're telling me the criticism out there. Look, I have been busy. You see my daughter this week, and then we're driving to Alabama tomorrow. So, kind of busy trying to still do what we're doing in the window, because we have, 2 weeks to go, and we're working on stuff, and we've had to be reactive because of injuries and whatever. But it was the hardest start, but that's no excuse. At the end of the day, look, we played Cardiff, and yes, they're a young team, but it's a big club. You're at Cardiff, you're in front of X amount of fans. They've got a new manager, they've got their players out there. That's a game we should have got something out of, and no doubt about it. I thought we were okay. I thought, we took the lead, we were resilient, and then for me, 2 goals that could have been saved. You've got, a free kick from 35 yards, and you got the second goal again. No word of a lie. And I'm going to say this, and this sounds harsh, but Alex Bass plays in those 2 games. We don't lose those 2 games. We didn't create
the goals you did.
No, absolutely not. Like we didn't create enough chances. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. But we knew that was going to take time anyway, because we still stuff to do in the window. There's players getting up to speed. But if you look at across even throw in last night's horrible defeat, I think the away opposition have had 7 goal chances in 3 games, and basically scored, 7 out of 8 or 9 chances. That's it, and so many set piece goals that are avoidable. It's kind of like, so you got the Cardiff, you lose, and you're like, okay, a week before you lose your goalie, you lose your centre half. So we put together the team, and you think, yeah, we're going to get better from here. You play Luton. I thought we were great in the first half against Luton. I thought our midfield won the battle. We didn't create enough chances. Again, you could be very critical of that. You know what I mean? And it's a nothing game. They weren't magnificent. And they've spent money, and they've put together a squad full of experienced players, big players, physically big players. And we're in the game. You're at home. Great first home crowd, 11,000 there. And then the second half, you lose a man in the corner. Even the header from the corner of the goal, it like bounces twice and goes into the goal. And then you're thinking, okay, you're 1-0 down. Now let's see what we're about. Because you're at home, anything can happen. You go 1-0 down, so what? And then your goalie and I get it, people go on about the pass back, but you've got an hour to go and have lunch and kick the ball away, pass it out right, whatever else. But again, one too many times, and we've seen that the last 2 years, like 8, 9 times, and it's just like, what are you doing? And at that stage, the game's over. Fans are leaving. I get why they're leaving. I want to leave. And it's just like, it's suicide. And you just want to ask, like, what are you doing? You know, and it is suicide. So, and because 10 minutes injury time, you're 1-0 down, you're in the game, you're at home, you got that posh faithful behind you. You know, and again, I would agree that you don't create enough chances, but they didn't either. Like, they didn't either. Like, you know, games are so, you look at games like that, you're playing two of the best teams in the league that will be up there, and there was nothing in both games. Like, Cardiff didn't have 7, 8 goal opportunities. Luton didn't have 7, 8. And I'm not making excuses or trying to talk the team up, but like, we were in those games and we're just getting kicked in the bollocks, left, right, and centre at every opportunity. You know, we went into the season with, we knew we had a strong spine. We knew we were strong in midfield. We knew our wingers needed to step up. We also knew we had a new winger, you know, that we brought in from abroad to replace Poku. He gets fucking injured the day before the Luton game. So now the first 3 signings I made of the summer are all unavailable. A great goalkeeper, a brilliant centre half at this level, who's our captain, and the right winger. And you're just like, can we just catch a break for like 5 minutes? So we lose the Luton game. Last night was, I agree with the manager, that's unforgivable. That was just a case of, you know, you go there, they score from a throw-in after 38 seconds. And again, you know, goalie's made a great save. Why aren't there 3 bodies on the line stopping the shot? The second goal just shite. And then, you know, we huff and puff. And then suddenly with 15 minutes to go, 20 minutes to go, we suddenly start at it. You know what I mean? So there are a lot of players that need to step up. A lot of players that people will say, well, they're bad recruitment, they're bad this, they're bad that. I would differ and go, no, actually, those players need to help themselves. Those players need, like, you know, your Gustavs of the world, you know, the wingers that we have. You know, you can go on about, say, Ibby. He still had over 11 and 12 goals last year with assists. He can play at this level, but it's on him why he hasn't started the season well. You could say Keane. Keane could do anything as a winger, but his final ball he knows. He showed it last night. He's made an unbelievable goal for Archie. He's got out wide. He's put one of the best great Peterborough goal. Cross into the box, midfielder arriving late. That's what we're all about. And then he has about 5 more opportunities to do exactly the same, but he chooses to dribble instead. So sometimes the IQ you have to question of the players and go, you see it work, you see what the fundamentals are. You know, you've got strikers. You could say player like Gustav, and I like him. We were all excited about him. Well, you've got to start smiling. You've got to start playing your game. You know, you're telling me that Accrington and Stanley away is tougher than the level you scored nearly 20 goals at in Sweden last year. It's not, with all due respect. You know, your job is to hold the ball up. Your job is to do all the other stuff well, and you're not doing it. So why is that? So again, there are all those things. Look, Darren Ferguson will fix it. And I'll say this: you can everyone out there can keep having a go. Everyone out there can they keep going back to last season. We've had one shit season in 19 years, City at League One level. And with all due respect, we will be a very different animal by the time this window shuts. I don't care what happens on Saturday or Tuesday. I'm telling you now, as God is my witness, my chairmanship on the line, we will be a very, very different animal. And it's easy to get on top of the team, and it is a young team. And of course, they're going to feel that pressure now because of these stupid mistakes. But they have not played in games where they've been battered. They didn't get battered against Cardiff. They didn't get battered against Luton. And they didn't get battered last night, as bad as it was at Accrington with long throws and whatever else. I think they had 3 shots the whole game. We just weren't good. So we are defeating ourselves. If we can get out of our own way, stop that, settle down, get a lot of the players fit. Lawless played last night. He's miles off fitness because he hasn't played matches during it. He's going to be a really, really good signing. We've got some other things basically in the pipe we're very excited about. We need to bring in some experience at centre half to replace Sam. We've been working on that, but we've had issues, medicals and all sorts of stuff. So we have other options, but they have to be the right players. And we have a couple of other strokes that we have to make out wide and up front. And we are doing that. But we also knew that from a space point of view, some of that wouldn't happen until the final couple of weeks. You know, again, we've got someone tonight in a hotel in London doing a medical who's in midfield. That is an unbelievable signing. That's a coup. And obviously, if anything goes wrong with a medical, I'm going to look like a dick. But no, in my look, it probably fucking will. but that's somebody that's going to improve us in midfield, no end, which I feel now is going to be one of our strongest areas of the pitch. So we've got a lot of things going against us, and we're feeling sorry for ourselves, and I can feel sorry for myself. But I've got a brilliant manager. I've got brilliant staff. They're working their tail off. The nonsense and stuff that's sprouted, and I keep getting told about the odd things, doesn't help. And I get fans are spoiled with, we've always been up there and we've done this and we've done. There's no divine right. to be, and fans will be saying, well, I want to be like Wickham and I want to be like this and whatever else. Well, you go back over the years with all due respect. Some clubs have been in the playoffs once in 12 years. Some clubs have been in the playoffs twice in 50 years in League One. We've had one shit season. It's like we're never going to be back up there competing. But I'm telling you now, all right, this will change. And when it changes, we are going to be a force. And you talk about we don't look like scoring goals and we're making the same mistakes and whatever else. We have really good staff. We have really good players in the building. We're not seeing the best of them. And we have some really key pieces that we're going to put together with them. And by the time this window closes, it'll be one of the strongest squads that and people go, he's talking nonsense, he's talking shit. We will be very strong. So I am not a defeated man. I'm an angry man because I'm angry that, we're our own worst enemy for the mistakes we make. And I include myself in that with the players. And I want my players to basically get their act together and stop beating themselves. Get beaten by a good football team, no problem. But stop beating yourself. Stop losing a man on a set piece. Stop fucking making colossal errors if you're in goal. Just do your job. If you do your job with the pieces we have, and I want my attacking players to show some fucking cojones and do what they're paid to do, and that is to assist the score. It's not to look razzle dazzle for 2 seconds and all fur coat and no knickers. Yeah, that is to create or score a goal. And what Keane Hayes did last night with his cross for the goal is what he needs to do every game. If he does that every game, you won't be with Peterborough in a year. Yeah, and the same goes for the other winger as well. Yeah, stop feeling sorry for yourself and start playing to your strengths. For our strikers, terrorize defenses, run them up and down. You've seen it. You said football's not a difficult game. At the end of the day, it can be very, very simple. You can talk about you had the most possession, you did this, but really, are you creating enough chances? Are you strong on set pieces? Because if you get those 2 things right in both boxes, you're going to be a good team. We can get both of those things right, and we still have time. Losing 3 football games isn't going to define our season. Losing on Saturday won't define our season. I'm telling you now, by the time this window's closed, we'll be very, very good as a football team. Our goalkeeper will be back as well. He'll be back at the end of the month. He was in a boot and crutches on Saturday, and he said to me, trust me, Chairman, it won't be 5 weeks or 6 weeks. I'll be back in 3 weeks. And I said, you'll do me all day long. That's a proper guy. Sam will be back in November. That's a longer one. And Declan, the good news from the scan, even though he was in crutches on Saturday as well, is he should be back for the Bradford game. So I'm told. So that's not long either. It's just it's a diet. When I got that phone call about the goalkeeper and then Sam Hughes, it was like I remember speaking to you before. It was like I sensed what was coming. It was like a dagger. I sensed what was coming. I was like, give me. If God came to me in pre-season and said, I'm going to take 2 of your players for the first 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, or whatever, choose the 2 out of your starting 11, it wouldn't have been them 2 players.
No, those would be the 2 you leave alone.
Yeah.
Have your transfer plans changed?
No.
Not because of injuries,
no,
but because of poor performance, because of players not showing what you thought that they would, and they've turned up and they've not shown it.
No, the only thing that's changed is we need another centre half because of Sam. And David's a good signing. He made a mistake against Luton. He's a really good signing. He's the type that you won't do that again. He'll be strong. We're really happy with him. Oscar, to be fair, was captain last night. That's the best I've seen him for a while. If them 2 can just win everything and start doing their jobs aerially and dominantly, I haven't got a problem with them. Archie, who turned down a contract, and the best contract I've ever offered a player, needs to show why he turned the contract down, because he's got confidence that he can walk into any team and get offered loads of money next year. Well, that's great, but now you got to be the best number 6 in the league, and so far, no. So that's on you now. So you got to back that up, because otherwise you won't be in the team, and then you won't be even getting a third of what you're offered by anybody next year. So that's the challenge on him, unless somebody comes in and buys him before the end of the window. It hasn't. The player we're signing right now has been in the works for a few weeks. Bigger clubs were in for him. We were lucky. Bigger clubs didn't sign him, so it's a bit of a coup. We think he can back that up. Lalos is somebody my managers always loved, and he wanted physicality at 10. We always knew we needed another left winger. We love Lisby. He did really well last night against Accrington. He's a project, but we need a winger in there to basically look. Ibby and Keane, they'll say it themselves. They haven't been good enough. Declan, we're very confident about over there, and obviously we need another winger. We're very, very happy with Brad. Brad is being the bright spot in the games. He was missing last night. his apparently knee blew up the other day, and I nearly had a heart attack yesterday about that. So I'm going to need a new shrink. That's what I'm going to need. Never mind new signings. So apparently he's fine, but he's been everything we want in a number 9. Well, we now need to get him as support. We need to make sure he gets enough shots per game. You know, right now Brad's getting 1 shot, 2 shots a game that he's got to make for himself. If we get it right, we get people fit. You know, I'm sick of saying that, and that goes for everyone at the club. We've got to get our act together. You know, we can go on about, well, it's not a muscle injury and they're freak injuries and whatever. They keep happening. So some stage I got to look at that and go, well, then I've got to look at that, you know, because I'm sick of talking about it. I'm you know, no other clubs having the look we've had last year and now the start of the season. So, you know, everyone's paid to keep our players on the field, and that's where I want them. There's no lack of confidence in my manager, the management team, the staff, you know, and my players. I know they're hurting and they haven't been at their best, and a lot of the mistakes could have been avoided. That's the challenge for them now, but help is coming, and some good help is coming. Lawless is going to be a really, really good signing from a physical point of view. Brandon, we knew with him, you know him, you know, has he been as magnificent as preseason? No, but we knew he took a while at Bradford to get going. He's going to take a while playing in a different way, understanding, but I loved him last night because he makes a mistake and loses the ball. Nobody fights harder than him. So there's a lot of positives. Like I feel our midfield's really strong. We need to get our defense stronger, and then we need to just get that little bit of extra power on the left side, you know, out wide. And then obviously if Gustav doesn't start, you know, charging on all cylinders to rival Brad, because even like the times I'd love to see the both of them play together. But Brad's really like miles out in front on his own because he's working hard, he's holding the ball up. You know what I mean? He looks like he can score goals. Gustav now, the challenge to him is do you sulk and take your ball and want to go home? Or do you go, I'm not going to fail as an international player coming to England, and can I start being the player we signed who can hold the ball up, be strong, run the channels, go in behind and score goals? So we have challenges, but there are no challenges that are insurmountable. And really I need to, the experienced centre half thing, I thought I'd crack the code on that, but no, there's issues with that. So now I've got to, there ain't many of them out there. So, you know,
Keep on searching.
we've got to get that sorted out. So that's really frustrating. And some of the younger players have to start playing better. You know, our fullbacks have to start playing better. You know, so there's a lot of room for improvement. Nothing a win wouldn't solve. But I also know every loss just brings even more chaos, more insanity. I wouldn't even want to see the pylon last night. You know, I'm told by some of my partners about, like, BBC are loving it. You know, the commentators, you know, are just absolutely like seem to be loving the fact, you know, that we are what we're doing. And again, short memory syndrome. But maybe that's to do with the fact I got rid of them a couple of years ago, and you know, Dawn brought them back. So I did say I mute the commentary when I watch the iFollow, you know. So yeah, but all you can do is to prove people wrong is go and win football games.
Archie, you mentioned Archie Collins. We've talked about his contract expiring a lot. He's decided that he's going to chance his arm somewhere else. Does that mean that, you know, you look to move him on and get, you know, some money for him now, or he kind of runs out his contract?
No, he's on the list.
Hector.
No, he's on the list. So he's on the list. But what I would say to him there is you've turned down a deal. I mean, I did a deal that was fair to him and his agent and gave him an out. So it wouldn't, you know, we didn't win promotion this year. He had an out. So I don't do that. But I gave it to him. You know, he's very important to us, to the manager. But equally, he has to pay us back with, he has to be the best player in the team. You know, he scored a great goal last night, but he's not the best player in the team. So we need him to be better. Nobody's made a bid for him, but he's on the list. If somebody makes a bid that I feel is fair, he'll go. I'm not doing what I did last year. So, and I certainly, he's not one of them that, like last year, we had problems with players who stayed behind. We didn't trust him. No, I don't trust him. But he's not almost one of the most important positions in the team where he plays. That's 6 role. So
he has to be on.
He has to believe in us, and he has to play, and he has to run the game. So, and if he can't do that, well then, you know, we've got other midfielders, and particularly the one we're signing tonight, that's in a hotel doing the medical, will take his position in no time at all and run the show. So, you know, that's the challenge to him. You want to make that decision and be a big boy and run the gauntlet, run your contract down, thinking you're going to get offered untold, millions. No problem. Challenge accepted. Now be the best player in League One in that position.
Now, last night after the Accrington game, Darren had some choice words. I think probably emotionally in response to what he'd seen around how the team look really good when they're playing against mannequins.
I love that. Yeah, I love that.
So much, when you've got a team running at you. I mean, what did you make of his comments?
I thought it was brilliant because really, I mean, that comes from. I think I'd said to him, "Fuck me," every day we talk, they're like, "I'm hearing the teams like Brazil in training." But then they turn into a fucking pub team, you know what I mean? Like when they get away from training. So I think he just got to the point last night where the nonsense of the 2 goals were just terrible, like terrible, like awful, so avoidable. It's the basics of football. So I'm all right with the gaffer, saying things like that or having a reaction. He's a passionate person. Look, he's not at Peterborough United to lose football games. He's here to win games. He's here to get us up the league. He's here to play good football. He loves to attack and score goals. And his players at the moment are playing within themselves and they're not doing what they're instructed to do. But I'll say in his defense, they are magnificent in training. They're magnificent training players. So they have to change that perception. The challenge is on them. Sam Hughes was captain, who now lives in the area. If I were him, he needs to be getting that group together and going, hey, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? A long throw comes in and you don't clear it. A free kick comes in and it goes right through the box. I get we're not the biggest. We've got enough big people back there to go and attack the football. So that's the challenge.
Well, coming up, you've got Wigan away, then Barnsley home, and then it's us, and then it's Bradford at home. Next 3 games.
Right. Okay. So I didn't know. By the way, you're frozen on the screen. I don't know if that's you. It's funny. It's like talking to a mannequin. But yeah. Look, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got Wigan away. You got Bradford. You got some good games. It is what it is. Like, I don't care who we're playing. I don't care that we played Luton or Cardiff. I mean, we've played some good teams. You've played some good teams. That's League One for you. We have to go out and stop beating ourselves. If we go out and stop beating ourselves, and I think that will happen, I think we'll start opening up. We'll start getting creative. We'll start scoring goals. We'll start feeling confident. This isn't what people out there are thinking this is. I'm convinced on that. I'll tell you otherwise. I could turn around and say, well, you know what, we're going to sign another 11 players and we're going to bomb everyone out. That's not what this is. This is just we've had a stupid start and we have to clean up the stupidness. If we clean up the stupidness, we'll be good to go. And I'm still very confident about that. Anyway, forget about Peterborough for now. Let's talk about your boys. You've had a magnificent start to the season. Yep. Run me through the 3 games.
So so far we've played Wickham at home, Northampton away, and then last night was Blackburn away in the Cup. Home to Wickham, first day of the season, and you kind of enter it with a mixture of excitement and trepidation of you don't really know what's ahead. I think we're lucky that Wickham are in. They're certainly still building, and their striker, the star striker, wasn't playing because wherever he might end up.
Yeah, I think Wickham lost their first 2 games of the season. I'm wondering if their fans are like my fans. Yeah.
You know what? I'm sure any fans after losing 2 games, the world is going to end.
Yeah.
So we kick off. Great atmosphere at Valley Parade, 20,000 almost.
Brilliant.
Only about 400 of them from Wickham, and what was it? 4 minutes we're 1-0 up, and 11 minutes we're 2-0 up, and I couldn't really believe that we're 2-0 up.
What a start!
Yeah. And from then on, I mean, we was pretty even for the rest of the game. We got that 2 up, then it was, kind of defending that lead, not defending as in throwing everything, parking the bus or anything, but just being careful. The second half started to come back into it. You could see us tiring, but we were throwing everything at defending. Everyone's throwing everything in front of the ball. Just a real togetherness, and a die for the result kind of attitude. They got one. Just I think a moment that we lost concentration, set piece move before you knew it. Really kind of flowing move. It's 2-1. You think, oh, there's another 35 plus minutes to go. Not sure if we can hold on to this, and we did. And in the end, we did relatively straightforward. So came away from that thinking, maybe we got something here, in this squad. We go to Northampton on Saturday, and with all due respect to Northampton, thinking that and given what we've spent and what the budgets are in the league, you look at Northampton and think those are somebody that we should be hoping to beat, and it finished 0-0, and it was another one of those where we had the chances. We should probably have put away one or two of the chances. We were really resilient when Northampton got momentum, as the game kind of ebbed and flowed, and I don't think they ever looked like scoring. But you come away from it on one hand thinking, 4 points first 2 games, I'll take that
all day long.
And on the other hand, we should probably have got 6, and so there's a little disappointment with not beating them. And then we go to Blackburn, and again, you don't really know what you're going to get with. We typically do okay with teams higher up than us. We've done well away from home in the cups against higher division teams, because I think we go there with an expectation that not to be intimidated. And 4 minutes gone, we're 2-0 up. And
wow.
It was first minute was one of the new signings, Jensen Metcalf, who looks fantastic from the game he played yesterday. Just a peach of a cross into the fullback, volleyed it bottom corner. That was about a minute and a half in. And then 2 minutes later, Blackburn had this 18-year-old kid in goal playing his first professional game, who just completely messed a back pass, essentially.
What? Why can't we have a bit of that luck?
I know.
That's
it happens against
keeper,
you, not for you.
Something our keeper fucking do.
Yeah.
Honestly, why can't we have that luck? Oh, dearie me.
Oh
my God.
He got pressed. He panicked. We tackled him. Open goal from 18 yards, 2-0 up after 4 minutes.
Jeez. What a dream.
They got one back again. I think it was 5 or 6 minutes into injury time, end of the first half, because I couldn't watch it because it's just not available to watch over here. But it sounded like we pretty much held our own. There were a good, I think, 3,500 City fans there.
Brilliant.
Real togetherness still. So I think there's a real feel-good factor at the moment, and and that takes us into Luton this weekend. So that's where it's going to be.
Where is that game?
That's at home at Valley Parade.
Yeah. Luton are still finding their feet.
Yeah.
So even their own manager will tell you. I mean, I've got to be honest with you. They didn't have a shot on goal the first 45 minutes against us, and we handed them the 2 goals. We leave a man free 4 yards out from a corner. Our goalkeeper plays Fred Astaire tricks for the second one, which he has in him. And, they really obviously were chasing the game late on. They might have had, but really in the when the game is competitive, they didn't, and they'll say it themselves, the Luton fans, they came in good numbers, by the way. They didn't dominate us at all. So it was just one of them games. It was a nothing game where first side scores first is really important, and it's just us on a corner, just losing our man. And that's it, So yeah, I would. That'll be an interesting game. It'd be interesting to see if they're better by the time they get to you guys, because they've had a really good start where they weren't great against Wimbledon. They won. They weren't great against us. They won. And now they go to you, and it'd be just interesting to see. But I'm one of those. I know my fans are all suicidal at the moment, but it's so easy in the season, or so early in the season. You start looking at you wouldn't think Plymouth would lose the first 2 games. You wouldn't think Wickham would lose the first 2 games. So, I'm one of them that, it's way too early to be, baby out with the bathwater and just completely writing you off. I get why our fans are like that after last year. They just automatically put 2 and 2 together and go, well, it's the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. But for you guys, solid start. So, if you lose on Saturday, does it change?
I mean, it's a matter of, let's say we lose, it's the matter of defeat, isn't it? Like, how did you lose?
Correct.
At this stage of the season, while points are obviously always important, you're looking to that as much as anything. Like, are we competitive? Do we look like we can hold our own? Did we get stuffed? We've got Stockport away after that as well.
Having a great start.
That's not going to be easy, and then we come to you. So, these are going to be games that we can, the barometers for us. How far have we come? What can we expect from the season? And you want to put up a fight at this
That's
stage.
it. You want to be competitive. You want to be in games. Like an example would be against Cardiff. We were in it. There was a lot of injury time, and Gustav, to be fair to him, created a great chance. Their goalie's made a great save. 9 times out of 10, that goes in. It's 2-2. You get out of Cardiff, and you're like, right on to the next game. And that was the gutter about Luton. Goalkeeper error leads to game is over. Takes the wind out of sails, kills the stadium, kills the vibe. And if you can get away from those kind of errors, those mistakes, and be solid, you're in games. And I know with what we've got and what's coming in, we can score a lot of goals and beat a lot of teams. So that's the frustrating thing about the start. Last night was just so irritating because you go there, you win, you go, right, okay, you're in. This cup isn't really that important, but you're into the next round. You get a win on the board for the fans, and fair play to whatever many fans went over to that game last night. But yeah, but well done to you guys. Good start.
Yeah, we've got Stoke away in the next round. So, not the best draw in the world, but if we can go to Blackburn and beat Blackburn, then why can't we go to Stoke and beat Stoke?
I mean, you're not making money in the League Cup until you get to the last 16, last 8, right, whatever else. So, really, there's no prize money. I'd say Accrington and Stanley probably lost money last night having to host that game. So yeah, I mean, onwards. We're God Almighty Stoke. I mean, no disrespect to Stoke, but you beat a championship club. You won a decent tie.
You start looking what Everton are in it, Man United are in it.
Yeah. Who got Man United?
I haven't seen actually. I only know ours because I was texted. Let's have a look and see in real time here if we can.
It'll probably be a Birmingham or somebody who's got Man United.
I'm sure.
It's always the clubs with big money. It'll be like end up getting it.
And the TV games. Let's see who we got. We got Everton v Mansfield, Grimsby v Man United.
Fair play to Grimsby.
Yeah, they usually get us, so that's a change for them. Who else interesting? Bolton or Sheffield Wednesday versus Leeds. I'm sure the cameras are going to be at Deepdale. Preston v Wrexham. Let's see. Anything else interesting there? Wigan Stockport local game. Accrington got Doncaster.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else is to talk about in football?
What's else is going on? So we had your beloved Liverpool getting beaten in the Community Shield this weekend.
Missed it. I was on an airplane, so didn't see any of it. So I don't know how they played it.
I heard it was penalties, but that's the most that I saw on that.
Yeah, I think they still have pieces. They definitely need centre halves. They definitely have pieces they need to put together. They've lost obviously Nunez. God bless Jota. They've lost strikers. Yes, they brought in the new boy, but they definitely need. I don't know what's going to go on with Isak from Newcastle and all that, but I would say they're probably need 3 more signings really if they're going to have a real tilt at retaining the title. Because obviously Salah goes away, I think, to the cup, the usual cup with Egypt, and yeah, he'll be going away. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But I know everyone's saying Liverpool are trying to buy the title. Load of bullshit because they're going to sell a good chunk of players. I would say by the time they finish the window, their net spend will be 150 million for a club who hasn't really done much the last couple of windows. That's a decent net spend, you know what I mean, and where they've rejigged their squad. So it'll be interesting to see. Still a lot of deals to be done.
Is there a way back for Isak at Newcastle, or is he done there? And it's just a matter of at this point.
I think he's done there. I think he's done. I think he's done with the fans. He's done with, anytime a player goes to those lengths, I feel for their manager. He doesn't deserve that. Their fans don't deserve that, particularly after winning the cup last year, wealthy club. I think the best thing to do in that case, you don't want the player to get their own way. But at a certain time, it gets to a point where, we've got to move on here. So you sell them for the most money you can. I get they got beaten on the striker by Man United. I'm not sure that's a bad thing. Time will tell. There's other players. Move on. Bournemouth have lost both their centre halves. They lost their left back. They've gone out and signed players, and I bet you they'll be competitive. Newcastle and their fans, find a new hero. And you're a big club. You'll have money. They'll do it. They'll be fine, and I think they look at this as a chapter and go, this is what it is, and I'm not trying to say, I've seen some of the pundits going, well, Liverpool are a bigger club or this, that, whatever else. This is just down to a player power, You could go the other way and go, well, you know what, we're going to sit you there. You ain't going to play. But that's going to stop you at PSR because you need the freedom, the space to be able to bring a number 9 in. So if you're going to sit him and not play him and put him on the naughty step, that's going to prohibit you from doing what you need to do in a really important area of the pitch. So at some stage, you just got to come out and tell your fans, look, we're going to do a deal. I don't care if it's Liverpool, Man United, Sunderland that we sell him to. At the end of the day, you just get the most money and move on as quick as you can.
How do you feel about buying a player? This is not necessarily you, meaning Liverpool, but when you look at players who have kind of forced their way out of their other club, does that turn you off buying them, or does that give you a red flag about their personality?
No, I'm a big boy. I know how it works in football. I have no problem with that. This is a real incestuous industry. Players do what they do to get moves, and I'm not going to lie. Players have done that for us over the years. It didn't stop me. It made me want the player more because they were so desperate to come into the club. I know that sounds terrible, and I'm not endorsing what he's done because I hate what he's done. But this is what happens in football. I've had players do that to us. And I get on great with them now. Years later, Lee Tomlin was trying to do that to me. But I love him like another son. So I understand it's a short career. I get it. And he doesn't want to be there anymore. And I don't think it's wages because Newcastle compete with Liverpool at wages. So he's just in his mind decided I am moving on and I want to go. So I think he's been offered more in Saudi and he's turned it down. He just wants to leave. So when you get somebody who wants to leave, you facilitate that. And, I made the mistake last year. People wanted to leave and I basically blocked them from leaving, as did my manager. And it went against us. It backfired. It's not good to have in your dressing room. It's why Eddie Howe's made the right decision and have them train away. Have him train away from the first team because it causes problems in your dressing room. And I've been through that. We've got no problems in our dressing room, by the way. We've lost 3 games this season. Our dressing room's fine. We're missing our captain, but I think he's had a surgery and he's back now this week. But we don't have those problems. Archie Collins is not that kind of problem in our dressing room. So my advice to Newcastle is do the business as quick as you can. Get Liverpool up to 130, 125. Well, when you're at that stage, what's an extra 20 million? Get the money done, get the deal done, and go and buy 2 forwards. Go and buy 2 number 9s at 60, 70 million each. They've signed, I believe, a good centre half from Italy. They're going to do, I think, Wissa from Brentford. They've done some good business this summer. If they go and get a couple of strikers, Newcastle will be up and running. They've got a great manager. So their fans can move past this and stop losing sleep about him. At the end of the day, he's a good player. And whether he goes to Liverpool, he'll be a good player. But I don't think he's a life-changing player. Newcastle didn't win the league with him last year. Not to the Champions League. But didn't win the league. And, at the end of the day, it is what it is. This is football.
Now, there was something that reminded me, I didn't mention it when we were talking about Bradford, but there's some debate about one of our new signings, Stephen Humphreys, who joined, who has had success as a kind of left-sided forward and in his past. He's not played so well when he's played through the middle or a centre forward. He was signed as a centre forward. Graham Alexander actually said today that he was basically told, you're coming as a centre forward, and if you want to play on the left, don't sign for us. I think in game, certainly yesterday, there was a lot of crosswords between them of him wanting to continue to drift out to that left side and play where he's comfortable versus what Graham Alexander said was, you look at the last 7 years of your career and you've not achieved what you wanted to. So trust us to position you to be in the channel, where you're going to make the most, where we think you're the strongest, which is going centre forward. And you kind of signed up to that when you joined. Do you have sometimes that happens with players where you tell them a certain role in the team, it may not be their preferred role, they say yes, to sign the contract, and then when push comes to shove, they start trying to kind of go back to where they want to play rather than where you want to play and where you sign them to play.
My advice to him is listen to your manager, he'll win the battle.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't listen to your manager, then he's right what he said about the previous 7 years. So he's a manager who's just won promotion, he's got a lot of credit in the bank. If he decides you're not listening and goes to the board and says transfer list him, you lose the battle. So if you're the player, if you're Humphreys and you're listening to the Hard Truth podcast, do as you're told. Listen to your manager.
Mm-hmm. All right. A couple of other things. Jack Grealish going to Everton.
Yep.
It seems like a great signing for Everton.
Really good signing for Everton. If Jackie can get fit, stay fit, do the things he did at Villa early on with Man City, really, really good signing. I like some of the moves Everton are trying to make. I like the fact they're trying to get the boy from Southampton. They're gone young. I know Grealish is 28 now, or is he 30? But they are trying to get some young pieces in. Fair play to David Moyes. I think Grealish is a really good signing for them. He will bring quality to the team, whether he's played 10 or whether he's played left in a 4-3-3. He's an upgrade in previous players. He needs to get his career. I'm hoping every time Grealish has been challenged, he's basically come back and had a great season. I know his agent really well. I knew, what was on the table, what was happening. So I'm a Jack Grealish fan. I really hope it comes off for Jack. So I think a Jack Grealish up and running is good for England, in a World Cup year. Is it a World Cup year next year? Yeah, World Cup year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will Everton need more than Jack Grealish to be competitive?
Yes. Everton with new owners, and I think they've tried to sign more players, need 4 or 5 signings. Absolutely. I don't think they'll struggle. Even if they start where they start and they still have the window to go, I think with their new stadium, I think they want to make a splash. I think Everton will get 4 or 5 signings. They'll have a okay start, but they definitely will not struggle. I don't see Everton having a relegation battle this year.
All right, we've got one question that will fit in here, which is from Tom. Tom's a Posh fan. He says, while I completely understand the financial realities of being a smaller club, giving away a third of the stadium, particularly for key games like the first home match of the season, feels like we're handing the opposition a real advantage. I just wonder if you could talk around, kind of the strategy of
Sheffield Wednesday 0, Peterborough United 4. That's what I'll say to Tom. Playoff semi-final, which would be the one game you don't want to give the opposition the advantage of a loud crowd. We gave Sheffield Wednesday, I think, 5,000 tickets. Their fans were in the end that saw a lot of goals go against them. And we won that game 4-0. What difference did it make to the team performance?
Do you feel that
secondly, sorry, I haven't finished. Secondly, Wembley against Birmingham. How many Birmingham fans were in Wembley versus Peterborough fans? What was the result? So I'm hoping those 2 things right there will tell you, I understand where you're coming from, but when I am constantly against pressure with the salary cap, every pound note of income matters when we're spending. I didn't foresee needing another goalkeeper. I didn't foresee needing another centre half, if not 2. Yeah, injuries have now pushed me there. We need more income to be able to spend more on the cap. Okay, all of it counts. It's really important. So we have a percentage of our turnover we can spend money on. The more our turnover is, and our gates are, if Peterborough fans can take up the allocation, and I see it consistently all day long, I'll have less than those stands. But at the moment, they're doing great, but they can't. So unfortunately, I can only put them in that stand. I know where you're coming from, but based on a history of big games, it's never stopped us winning games that matter by having a big away following in those areas. And I've just named 2 massive games in our history that we've done very well in, and it made no difference whatsoever to our player performance.
How do you decide on allocations? Do you wait on what's requested from the away club and kind of figure out based on that?
Chris Brewer obviously is in charge. He sits with Dawn. They go through it, they map it out, they talk to security police, they talk to the opposition club. We start with 2,000. Oh, you need more than 2,000? Right, we push it up to 2.5. If it's less than 1,700, I think they get squeezed in the corner. If, Bradford are suddenly taking 4,000 fans, and I hope they do, they'll get, that stand. And that's just the way it goes.
Well, let's leave it a wrap there. And first and foremost, thank everybody for listening. And if you do want to reach out with questions, you can do that. contact@hardtruthfootball.com or follow us on X, Instagram, TikTok, all at hardtruthpod, and you can send questions in that way. I'm hoping that you get a bit more luck this weekend, and we can quieten some of those concerns about the start of your season.
But you know what? Bring it on. Keep trolling me to stuff. I mean, my kids have told me some of the stuff is like horrendous, that's been posted. Like I said, I'm too busy for that crap. I don't need it. Bring it on. Keep it going. At the end of the day, I've been doing this for nearly 20 years. I know what I'm doing. And, by the time this window's shut, regardless, we're going to be a very good football team. And I look forward to, using that down the line when time allows it. And it will.
Well, I also need you to get a win out of the system so that when you play us, it's going to give you it.
Well, listen, at the end of the day, I'm sure your fans are excited, thinking they're going to roll us over. So, let's see.
You can never take anything for granted or assume.
We're about to get very competitive again. So, and I'm going to enjoy that. It's going to happen. So, and my manager will enjoy that as well. And I feel for him, you know. So our players really need to, you know, get back to basics, do their jobs, and you know, this ain't last year. This is going to be good. So give it a bit of time.
And we're both flying back to England next week for
Correct.
the game, so we'll figure out a time between all the
Hard truth game
travel to have the Hard Truth Derby pre-game episode. We'll make sure we get that out before the game.
Absolutely, looking forward to it. All right, brother. You take care.
Well, I will talk to everybody again soon, and yeah, be back again next week. So take care, everybody. Talk soon. Bye.